and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial, we're going to learn how to crochet step by step the heart stitch. The rule for the stitch is multiples of 7 plus 3, and the repeating rows are rows 2, 3, and 4. So we're repeating rows 2 through 4 up until we complete our project. Now, in the end, I'm going to show you how to work a nice border all around by working the crab stitch, which you can use on blankets, scarves, whatever you like. But because I'm showing you the border with red color, in the end I'm going to tell you that it doesn't look that nice. It kind of looks like a little sloppy with the red color. So I frogged it and I did the crab stitch all around with the white color, and it looks a lot better. Okay, I would like your opinion on that. Now let's see how to start our sample, and because my camera doesn't really like white and red, I'm going to show you the sample with two different colors, with gray and turquoise, which look a lot better on the camera. So let's see how to start. I have started with my chain and have worked a total of 31 chains, which is 4 times the multiple of 7. 4 times 7 is 28, plus the 3 extra chains that I need, 31. So I'm going to start by working from the 4th chain. So skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and put your hook in the 4th chain. By doing this, we have our first 2 stitches. The first stitch is the chain 3 that I skipped, and the second stitch is the one that I just worked in the 4th chain. Now keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch across. So from the 31 chains, I'm going to have a total of 29 double crochet. So from the total chains that you will start with, row 1 will be 2 less stitches. Okay, so 2, next chain, 3, next one, 4, 5, and keep crocheting up until the end for a total of 29 stitches. I'm almost done with row 1 with a total of 28 stitches, and we're going to work the 29th one together to show you how we're going to change colors. Okay, so put your hook in the last chain to work the 29th stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, and instead of finishing the double crochet with the gray yarn, I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to attach my new color now. And this is how to change colors throughout projects. When you want to work different rows with different colors, this is a way to change the color without showing. So I'm going to work the last 2 loops with my new color, and you can see that the last double crochet seems that it has been finished with the gray color, but at the same time I have attached the new one. So what I usually do, just so my ends are more secure, I make a knot, just so the stitches don't open up. Okay. Now we're going to start row 2, which is the first row of repetitions, and I'm going to start by chaining 2. 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. So in this row, we're going to work the V stitches, which are going to help us to make the heart design. So I'm going to put my hook in the very first stitch. Okay, take the yarn and pull it through the first 2 loops and leave the last 2 on your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops and leave the last one on your hook. So every time that we start the repetitions of row 2, which is the first row of repetitions, this is how we're going to start, with half of a heart. Take the yarn and close all 3 loops together, and this counts as 1 stitch. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your hook in the 7th one. Okay. Take the yarn, pull it through the first 2 loops, and hold the last 2 on your hook. yarn over once. For a second time, put your hook in the same stitch, pull the yarn through the first 2 loops and leave the last one in your hook. Yarn over once, put your hook for the third and last time in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops and leave the last one in your hook. So we have 3 halfway done double crochet, 4 loops on our hook, grab the yarn and pull it through all 4 loops. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to work the same step in the same stitch. So yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the third time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops and leave the last one in your hook, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the third and last time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops and leave the last one in your hook. So again, I have 3 halfway done double crochet, 4 loops, which I'm going to close together to count as 1 stitch. So this is a cluster V stitch. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put your hook in the 7th one. Okay, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for a second time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the third and last time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops. So again, I have 3 halfway done double crochet, 4 loops, which I'm going to close together to count as 1 stitch. Chain 2, 1, 2, and work the same step in the same stitch. So put your hook in the same stitch for the first time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the second time, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the third and last time, take the yarn and pull it through the first 2 loops. Again, 3 stitches, 4 loops, which I'm going to close together. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put your hook in the 7th one and work your cluster V stitch. So grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, take the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch, take the yarn through the first 2 loops. So again, I have 3 stitches, 4 loops, which I'm going to close together. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work 1 more set in the same stitch. So put your hook for the first time, take the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab the yarn, put your hook in the same stitch, take the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over once for the third and last time in the same stitch, take the yarn to the first 2 loops, 3 stitches, 4 loops, close them together. Now we're going to see how to close the row of the V stitches. We're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th one is the chain 3 that we skipped in the beginning of row 1. So I'm going to count from the bottom to the top, 1, 2, 3 chains. Okay, so in the third chain, counting from the bottom to the top, we're going to work our last cluster V stitch. And because I started my row with half of a heart, I'm going to finish with half of a heart. Okay, so put your hook in that third chain, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once for the second time, put your hook in the same stitch, take the yarn to the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for the third time, take the yarn to the first 2 loops. Again, 3 stitches, 4 loops, which now I'm going to close the stitches with my new color. So I'm cutting the turquoise and I'm going to attach my gray yarn back again. Okay, so every time you want to change color, the very last step needs to be made with your new color. Okay, so I'm going to take my new color and I'm going to take it through those 4 loops. Okay, let me do that again. Okay, again I'm going to tie my knot just to secure the stitches. Okay, and now we're going to start row 3, which is the second row of repetitions. So in this row, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. Now, right here on top of the first stitch on the first cluster, I'm going to put my hook right here on the top right and I'm going to work 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 1, 2, and I'm going to go into the previous row and I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the 3rd and 4th stitches. So because this is the good side of my double crochet, on the top right is the loop of every stitch. So this is the first stitch, 1, 2, and I want to crochet in the 3rd and 4th stitches, and I'm skipping the 5th and the 6th one. Okay, so after the single crochet I have worked 2 chains, go into the previous row, skip the 1st and 2nd, put your hook in the 3rd and work 1 double crochet. In the next stitch, in the 4th one, work 1 double crochet as well. Now chain 2, and in the center of your V-stitch, right here under the chain space, work 1 single crochet. Chain 2. Okay, go into the previous row, skip the 1st and 2nd double crochet, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in the 3rd and 4th stitches. So 3rd stitch, 1 double crochet. 4th stitch, 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and work a single crochet under the chain 2 space. Chain 2, skip the 1st and 2nd double crochet, put your hook in the 3rd and work 1 double crochet. In the 4th stitch, work 1 double crochet. Now chain 2 and work a single crochet under the chain space. Chain 2. Okay, skip the 1st and 2nd double crochet, put your hook in the 3rd and work 1 double crochet. In the 4th stitch and work 1 double crochet as well. Chain 2 and finish the row with a single crochet on top of the last stitch, okay, which is the cluster, the half heart again. So up here on the corner, work your last single crochet of the row. So we just created our hearts. Now we're going to start row number 4, which is the 3rd and last row of repetitions. I'm going to continue working with the gray heart. The only time that you're switching colors is when you're creating the hearts. Okay, so I'm continuing with my gray yarn and I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Now in this row I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch across, and the chain 2 counts as my first stitch, so I'm not going to crochet in the first single crochet. I'm going to start crocheting in each of the next 2 chains. So 1 double crochet in the first chain, 1 double crochet in the next chain. Now we could have worked the double crochet under the chains and just worked 2 double crochet, but the results when you work in the chains is much better. Yarn over once, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochet, 1, next stitch 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 chains, 1 and next stitch 2 and 1 double crochet on top of the single crochet. So keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch up until the end, up until the last single crochet, and I'm going to have a total of 29 double crochet again. I have worked my 28 double crochet. Now again the 29th we're going to work together because we're going to switch to the new color to create the hearts again. So on top of the last single crochet I'm going to work the 29th stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, and to work the last step I'm going to use my turquoise again. Now if you're going to work a project which is a blanket or a scarf and you're going to work stitches around to make a border, and if you're using the same color for the hearts in every row, you can keep the color without cutting and bring it up and pull through the 2 loops. But what this will create is a line right here in the side, and the color that you have brought up is going to be visible. But if you work a border and you crochet over the stitches, you can save it and it won't be visible and it will look nice. And this will save you a lot of weaving in ends. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to my new color. Take the yarn and pull through the last 2 loops again. So now I have completed working the repetitions, and for this pattern we're repeating rows 2, row 3, and row 4 that we just completed. So let's see how to start all over the repetitions. Okay, so I'm going to cut the gray yarn and I'm going to make a knot. Okay, so again I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Again, in the same stitch right here in the beginning, I'm going to work my 2 more stitches to give me my first half heart. Okay, so put your hook in the very first stitch, take the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over once, put your hook in the same stitch for a second time, take the yarn and pull through the first 2 loops. Now the reason that I don't work a 3rd stitch in the same stitch in the beginning of the repetitions of the first row, okay, of row 2, which is the first row of repetitions, is because the chain 2 that I work in the beginning is one of my 3 double crochet. So take the yarn and pull through the 3 loops. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your hook in the 7th one and see how it will align with the one below, and work your heart. Take to the first 2 loops, yarn over once, second time in the same stitch, yarn over once, 3rd time in the same stitch. So I have 4 loops and I'm going to close them together. Chain 2, 1, 2, and work the same steps in the same stitch. So for the first time, second time, and 3rd time. 4 loops, close them together to count as 1 stitch. So keep working your hearts in every 6th stitch, and in the end I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work the last heart together and how to switch colors again. I'm almost done with my row. I'm going to work now the last set. So again I'm going to skip my 6 stitches, put your hook in the 7th one, which is the 2 chains counting from the bottom to the top. Okay, so first stitch, second time in the same stitch, and for the 3rd time in the same stitch. And now again I'm going to switch my colors. So take the gray yarn and pull it through the last 4 loops. Okay, so I just repeated row 2 all over again. Now in the next row I'm going to do the same exact steps as I did in row 3. So what did we do in row 3? We started with 1 chain, turn your work, and starting from the very first stitch over here, work 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2. Now go into the row below, skip the first and second stitches, and put your hook in the third and work 1 double crochet. And then in the next stitch, in the fourth one, and work 1 more double crochet, chain 2, put your hook in the center of the heart and work 1 single crochet, chain 2, skip 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, put your hook in the third one and work 1 double crochet, and 1 double crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, and single crochet in the center of the heart. So keep working the same steps up until you finish the row, where in the last stitch right here on the corner of the half heart that we started the previous row, I'm going to work the last single crochet of the row. I have completed working the repetitions of row 3. Now I'm going to work the repetitions of row 4, which is 1 double crochet in every stitch across. So I'm going to start with 2 chains, which counts as my first double crochet. And starting from the chains, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the first 2 chains. 1, next stitch 2, 1 double crochet on top of each of the next 2 double crochet, 1, next stitch 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 chains, 1 double crochet on top of the single crochet, and so on up until the end for a total of 29 stitches again. And again, in your last stitch, because this is the last row of repetitions, you're going to switch colors to start creating the heart. I have completed working the repetitions of row 4, so I'm going to keep repeating those 3 rows, rows 2 to row 4, to complete my project. Now, for a larger project, you do want row 4 to be the last row that you're going to crochet. So those 3 rows are the rows you're going to need to complete up until the end, okay? No extra rows or no different row for the end. Just the row 4 over here, the row of double crochet, will be the last row of any project you're going to make. Now I'm going to work a few rows off camera to see how the project will look when you have more rows, and then in the end I'm going to show you how to work a nice border using the crab stitch. So I have worked a few extra rows on my sample. I have weaved in all of my ends, and I'm not going to lie, I had many ends to weave in. If you want to avoid that, instead of 1 double crochet before the row with the hearts, what you can do is work 3 rows of double crochet, okay? And the hearts between them will have a bigger distance, but in the end you will have less tails to weave in. Now, I'm almost done with the last row of double crochet. Okay, this is my 29th stitch, and the reason that I have not finished it is because I want to show you how to work a nice border all around. And you can use this border on blankets, on scarves, okay? You don't always have to do a superb border on a project, you know, with a shell stitch and different stitch combinations and everything. A very simple border always gives a nice result on our projects. Now, if you do not know how to work the crab stitch, which we're going to start now, you can just go ahead and work a row of single crochet all around. The crab stitch, what really is a reverse single crochet, okay? We work it in the wrong direction. So I'm going to finish the last 2 loops of my double crochet with the new color, okay? And I'm not going to start from the first stitch, I'm going to go from the second one, okay? put your hook in the stitch, and we want the hook to go over the yarn. Grab it, pull it carefully through the stitch, and what I have here is 2 loops which seem as they are overlapping each other. This is not wrong, this is how it should look. Grab the yarn, pull through those 2 loops. Now go into the next stitch, put your hook, and we always want our hook to go over the yarn, okay? Grab it, pull it carefully through the stitch. And the reason that I mention carefully, because it's easy if you do not know how to work the stitch, or if you're going fast, it's easy for the loop to go through the loop that you already have on your hook, and we do not want that to happen because the stitch isn't going to come out right. Now we have the 2 loops, grab the yarn, pull through both loops. Now go into the next stitch, okay. We want the crochet hook to go over the yarn, grab it, pull it through the stitch. Okay, let me redo that step. So we want our crochet hook to go into the next stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through the stitch. We have 2 loops overlapping each other. Grab the yarn, pull through both loops. Now put your hook into the next stitch. We want our hook to go over the yarn, grab it, pull it through the stitch. We have 2 loops which we're going to close together. Okay, we're going to work 1 more stitch together, so put your hook into the next stitch. Take your hook, your crochet hook over the yarn, grab the yarn, pull through the stitch. We have 2 loops which we're going to close together. Look what a beautiful result the crab stitch gives on my project. Now, I'm going to keep working up until the end, where my last stitch is going to be the 2nd chain counting from the bottom to the top. And once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start working going downwards. Now I have completed working up until the end of the row, and it's going to seem here in the end, when I work in the 2nd chain counting from the bottom to the top, as if I have worked an extra stitch, but I'm actually not. And this will help me give a nice corner, nice edge on my project when I turn counterclockwise to start working going downwards. Now, what I want to do for every stitch, and please be aware that I do not want you to crochet very tightly now when you go working downwards. I want to put my hook under the first double crochet and work the crab stitch, then in the single crochet, then in the first stitch of the hearts, then under the first double crochet, then in the single crochet, then under the first stitch of the hearts. Now, if you remember how the rows were worked, you will know which stitch you should look for next. If you recall, after every row of the hearts, I had a row with a single crochet in the chains, then 1 row with double crochet, and then the hearts. But because I'm going downwards, first I'm seeing the row of the double crochet, then the row of single crochet, and then the row of the hearts. Then the row of double crochet, so under it I'm going to work a stitch, then a stitch in the single crochet, then a stitch under the first double crochet of the hearts, then 1 stitch under the first double crochet of the row of the double crochet, then 1 stitch in the row of single crochet, and so on. So let's see how to start. So I'm going to start by working 1 stitch under the very first double crochet right here, and I'm going to work my crab stitch. Now go ahead into the single crochet and work a crab stitch in the single crochet. Then put your hook under the first double crochet of the heart. Then under the first double crochet of the first row. Then in the single crochet. Then under the first stitch of the heart. then under the first stitch of the double crochet, then in the single crochet, then I'm going to work in the first stitch of the heart, then in the first stitch of the double crochet, then I'm going to work in the single crochet, then in the first stitch of the heart, okay, let me redo that again. Okay, so I'm putting my hook in the first stitch of the heart, then under the first double crochet, then I'm working in the single crochet, then I'm going to work under the first double crochet of the heart, then I'm going to work in the row of double crochet, and this is the first row of double crochet. So put your hook under it and work your last crab stitch. And now in order to finish this side and to have a nice edging as I have up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work one more crab stitch right in here in this chain, and this will give me the corner of my project. Now again, I'm going to turn counterclockwise, and what I want you to do now, down here we have the chains in which we worked the first row. So I want you to put your hook in each of the chains and work the crab stitch. So starting from the next chain, work the crab stitch, next chain, work the crab stitch, next chain, work the crab stitch, and keep working in each of the chains up until you reach right over here the end, where I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start going upwards. Now I have completed working the bottom part of my project, okay, in each of the chains. Now I want to work a last crab stitch right here to what it seems to be the last chain right here in the corner. Go ahead and work one last crab stitch. Okay, and then turn your work counterclockwise and put your hook under this first space over here, okay, to work the first crab going upwards, and this will give me a nice corner on my projects. Now, if you recall previously, because we were working going downwards, first we had the row of hearts, then the row of double crochet, and then the row of single crochet. Now because we're working going upwards, first I'm going to have the row of hearts, row of single crochet, double crochet, and hearts, single crochet, the row of double crochet, and the hearts, the row of single crochet, the row of double crochet, and then the hearts. In each of those stitches, I want to work the crab stitch, the single crochet, the double crochet, the heart, the single crochet under the double crochet here, and once I reach these points, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish our project. I have completed working going upwards. Now I have my last crab stitch is under the last double crochet over here. I want to work the last stitch to finish the row with. If you remember that we skipped the first stitch and we started crocheting from the second in the beginning. So I want to work the last crab stitch in that stitch that I skipped in the beginning. And now in order to finish my project, to close it, I want to put my hook in the same stitch right over here where I started working the crab stitch, and I'm going to work a slip stitch. So grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch and through the loop that you have on your hook. Chain one, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now that I see my project, it would be nicer if we had worked the crab stitch with the white yarn, this way it wouldn't look that sloppy right here, even though we have crocheted in the same exact spot. Because we have white yarn and red yarn, it doesn't look that good right here on the sides. So what I would do is I would work the crab stitch all around with the same stitch that I have with the same color that I worked the bigger part of the project, and not the color that I worked for the hearts. It will look a lot better right here on the sides. Okay, so this is how to work the heart stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put under the video in the first pinned post, I'm going to have the link for the video that I have created on how to calculate the stitches that you would need for a bigger project, how to calculate the rows, and the yarn needed for a project. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like and leave a comment. Thanks again. Bye bye.